a couple people joining me. First of all, Rents Bayan from our European incident response team, and he's been seeing a lot of activities as he helps our customers and also other companies who are not our customers in Europe deal with these incidents, sometimes working alongside companies like Strauss Friedberg. And also joining me is Mila Pilau, who leads our threat research communications, and she has a very deep understanding of what is going on with respect to the data telemetry that Trend Micro is seeing. Good morning to both of you.
Hey there.
Morning.
Hi there. So let's start with you, Rents. With respect to the incidents that you're seeing and the substantial volume, nothing like the volume that Strauss would be seeing in Chad's team, but still we're seeing a substantial volume of incidents with your team. What are some of the ways that these attacks start? What are the initial attack vectors typically?
Yeah, there are a couple of major attack vectors. I would say that email is still one of them, right? So whether that's phishing or it's malware delivery, sometimes it's targeted, sometimes it's not, but it definitely remains a primary point of entry.
Right, and Mila, you're presumably seeing those kinds of trends reflected in our threat telemetry.
Yes, that's right. Email's always been a no surprise to me when it comes to the trend. It's always 90% of what we see as infection. Threat concentration is still on BEC rather, but a lot of focus a little bit on Emotet because this is really a traditional 2014 masquerading as a mal spam. But today, it is actually the most, I would say, destructive, most costly form of attack. Just because it's not resides on endpoint, it is actually residing now in server and obviously in network, right? So I think that's something we need to not look forward to, but quite alarming, I would say.
And Rents, how is something like Emotet getting delivered through email anyway? It's not presumably an EXE sitting in an email. We've moved past that, but how does an attacker get Emotet delivered via email?
Yeah, so what they usually do is they spray a lot of these emails with documents having malicious macros, or they send you links and they trick people into clicking on them. And the bad thing with Emotet as well is they hijack your domain. So they will enslave you and send emails from your domain, making it easier for people to buy into that thread and click on it, right? So it's quite destructive once it's activated.
Okay, so besides email as one of these major attack vectors, what's another major way that you're seeing these incidents start?
Yeah, we also see a lot of the incidents originating from unprotected, unpatched, exposed internet-facing servers. So whether these are services or remote desktops, or it is VPN devices, for instance, that are not patched, this is a big entry vector as well.
Yeah, it's on the one hand surprising and at the same time understandable that organizations are still having a lot of trouble keeping track of these devices that are internet facing and figuring out who's responsible for them. Mila, are there a lot of these internet facing vulnerable services out there?
Definitely, Eric. I think today I can say that internet-facing servers or networks are definitely a minefield for a lot of the threat actors. Their goal is to find a susceptible hole that remains unplugged, and that to them is their biggest jewel, right? The two areas that we see right now is on RDP. RDP in terms of increase is almost 40%, and that's undeniable because of our expanded workspace. However, the attacks is about 3 to 4 times also as that increases. The other one is, I don't think I have to talk about it because it's all over the news, like VPN. VPN are designed to give us the comfort and safety, but sadly, they are in, there's a lot of the actors are zooming in just because we're all in VPN right now. And these are no small names vendor, these are big names as well. And that's through brute force, that's also through vulnerabilities that remains sadly being exploited.
So once these attackers are in the environment, Rents, what are some of the typical things that they do next that defenders can be on the lookout for?
Yeah, I think it's important to note that the groups or people delivering, let's say, malware or doing the initial entry do not necessarily have to be the people that do the lateral stage, right? So what we have seen is that these groups increasingly start to work together, right? So you have one group doing the malware delivery, the entry, and then reselling the access to some other threat actors, right? But once they are in your network, so whether that's the malware opening up a backdoor, or whether it's resold to another threat actor, or they hack these, let's say, exposed services, then they will move laterally, right? They have an end goal, so in an APT that is stay hidden, exfiltrate data, and in the case of most of these ransomware groups, obviously detonating the ransomware and exfiltrating data prior to that, right? So they will move laterally, steal more credentials, elevate their privileges, and often they do this with tools like Cobalt Strike, PowerShell Empire, Bloodhound. So yeah, they will slowly but surely move towards their end goal. And what we see now is actually the time between the point of entry and the actual end goal, it is decreasing. So they are doing it in a much faster way.
Yeah, because of that specialization. Yeah. So let's move towards the wrap up here. So I'm going to ask both of you about your advice to defenders. What are the things that people can do that will have the most impact based on what you're seeing? Rents, what do you recommend?
Yeah, so obviously it's very important to align to these attack vectors, right? So whether that's email security, or you need to increase your ability to detect the threats early, as well as earlier mentioned, being able to respond to it as fast as possible. The longer you wait, the more problematic the incident becomes. And also, teams need to be aware of what asset is managed by whom, right? You need to have a very clear view and awareness and visibility on your IT assets themselves. And last, I think that security teams need to be very, very aware of the latest and current threats, right? You need to know what to respond to. You need to understand the alerts. And I think that if you do not have that capability, you should definitely look into outsourcing that.
Thank you, Rents. And Milo, the last word to you. What do you advise people do based on this landscape?
I think, Eric, what we recognize today is we have an even more expanded workspace. And with expanded workspace, we are very exposed, sadly. But also comes the complexity of there's so many architecture being integrated right now. So given all those three areas, to me, the most important thing is that you cannot protect anything that you don't see. So therefore, telemetry is something that I really wanted to emphasize here. But it's not just telemetry, it's the collective intelligence that is being brought together by that telemetry. And to me, that really fosters collective resilience also, not just for us, but to our customers, but to the digital space to be more resilient against today's threat and maybe tomorrow's as well.
Well, thank you to both of you so much, and thanks again to Chad Pinson. That's been very illuminating, and learning from these serious incidents is hopefully something that will help all of our attendees be better protected today and going forward. Thanks very much. Back to Leah and Rick.